Hello, I'm Dr. Teresa A. Smith, DrTAS. Today I want to talk with you about your heart health. Wellness replenishes the heart. As a small child, I learned the importance of having a healthy emotional state, although at the time I referred to it as self-esteem. For me, viewing the world through the self-esteem lens helped me to make sense of the different behaviors I observed. Years later, as a school counselor, state student support services consultant, professor, and 21st Century Community Learning Center program director, I would come to understand that a positive social emotional climate is a foundation for the success of the whole child or the individual. However, healthy individuals do not spring up overnight. Instead, they begin as the apple of their parents' eye, then become the students who sit in our classrooms, attend our after-school programming, or perhaps participate in community-sponsored or faith-based events. The healthy journey is often wrought with barriers or adversities that make it challenging for our teachers, administrators, and schools to provide educational services, and for our parents to support the school in the home. Yet, we must. But how? The heart. We must replenish the heart. What is the heart? Well, the heart is an acronym. H stands for hope, fueled through future potential and expectations. E, experiences are different, so expect challenges. A, allow time for acceptance. It doesn't happen overnight. R, relationships are built on what is known, not the unknown. T, trust by honoring others' truths. Everyone has their own individual truth, and we must honor that. Why is the heart important? Obtaining Maslow's hierarchy of needs, sense of belonging is grounded in our relationships and the ability to communicate effectively and our expectations. This is demonstrated when teachers celebrate the positive, identify specific areas to affirm in their students, are intentional with their encouragement. Because understand, encouragement that is not intentional falls on dry ground. Encouragement has to meet that person's need, not the other. So you've got to know your student in order to provide intentional encouragement. Note areas of growth. All of us have areas that we can grow in. So when we're providing support to our students, we've got to provide targeted support in the areas that they need to grow in. Provide hope and direction. Without hope, will I ever be able to make it? Will I be able to find direction? We've got to provide the hope and the direction for our students. Support, change through a growth mindset. A lot of our students come to us, and they don't have a growth mindset. Now, what do I mean by growth mindset? Meaning that one can overcome whatever the obstacles are that they are encountering. Knowing that, but that means getting down in the heart so that you know it even if you can't see it. Affirm and self-efficacy. We have to affirm and reaffirm all the time. For some of our children who come to us, they only hear positive affirmations when they're in our classrooms. So we have to affirm. Now, this is not a one-shot occurrence. Instead, this is a cycle which is a part of teaching and learning, and it has to happen repetitively. And each time you implement it, it becomes more seamless because you're beginning to understand what the individual needs are of your students. Sometimes it's of our faculty, it's our parents, it's our school. Our schools are so diverse that they each have a life and a culture of their own. So therefore, we must monitor the culture of the school and the individuals that are there, so that we're giving them the affirmation that they are needing in order to have the expectations that we have for them. Our heart is composed of 4 chambers. The first chamber is self-awareness. It's understanding one's emotional response to situations, challenges, and other people. Self-awareness, sometimes we don't want to recognize it, but we realize it's occurring. So then the question is, how are you going to manage it? Self-management is the ability to self-regulate your emotions so you react appropriately with people and during events. So you've got to act appropriately, but that only happens when you self-manage. Social awareness is your capability to identify others' concerns and emotions. But it's not just identifying them. You've got to identify them and then stop and think, okay, they're dealing with something. How would I feel? Maybe I wouldn't feel the same way. But I've dealt with things that I didn't know how to deal with them. They were just sort of overwhelming me. So social awareness, that capability to identify others' concerns and emotions, is critical because we don't live in a vacuum. When our kids come to school each morning, they come bringing what happened the night before with them. They bring what occurred that morning with them, whether it's in the car or on the bus. All of these things come with them. But as I used to tell my staff that I worked with when I worked as an alternative school counselor, the students, and I would relay this back to the students also, I told staff and students, staff have to overcome so much before they walk in the school building. Likewise, students are having to overcome a lot before they walk into the school building. So you've got 2 individuals who come together, both struggling to make sense of somewhat of a chaotic world. But one has power over the other. And sometimes it made the relationships confrontational, when in actuality, both parties were trying to manage the relationship, trying to apply the knowledge of their own emotional responses and the emotional responses of others to create a beneficial, productive relationship, teacher-student relationship. So, as I often say, both parties need a little grace, the teacher and the student. Now, if we're honest with ourselves, we each flow through the heart chambers, those 4 chambers, throughout the day. And as adults, we still find it challenging. Parents, teachers, and administrators, and community leaders, our school boards, they find it challenging. So if we as adults, professionals, parents, school board leaders, politicians find it challenging, how more challenging it must be for our children and students. John Maxwell said, when it comes to working with people, students, the heart must come before the head. This is why we must work collectively to replenish what is depleted in our children and students so they become healthy, academically successful, productive citizens. In the Wellness Replenishing the Heart Toolkit, you will find virtual coaching, activities, tools, and videos that can be used with students, faculty, and parents. On DrTAS' YouTube channel, you will find additional personal development videos. Feel free to visit my website, AskDrTAS.com, or follow me at Talk with TAS on Facebook for weekly DrTAS Words to Live By and new videos each Friday. Feel free to message me on LinkedIn at Dr. Teresa A. Smith or at DrTAS, DrTAS, TRONGER at gmail.com. Social emotional well-being is my passion, and I would love to connect with you more about how social emotional competence can strengthen your relationship and student outcomes. My sign off is always take care of you. But I want to expand it today. You hold the future of our country, our world in your hands. So I want to challenge you. In order to take care of you, you've got to take care of them. So let us pledge to take care of each child that enters our classroom each day, each child that enters the school building. And for our community members, each child in our community, because it truly will take all of us in order to build the next generation of leaders. And it starts today with social emotional health. Bye now.